A World Cup qualifier match in Oslo between Norway and Israel descended into chaos as police used tear gas to control large-scale protests outside the Ullevaal Stadium. The demonstration, sparked by anger over Israel's actions in Gaza and Norway's decision to allow the game to proceed, turned violent when protesters clashed with security forces. The event, which was meant to be a celebration of sport, became a stage for political outrage, igniting debates across Europe about the intersection of sports, politics, and human rights. Protests erupt outside Ullevaal Stadium. Thousands of protesters gathered outside Oslo's Ullevaal Stadium hours before kickoff, waving Palestinian flags and chanting slogans against Israel's participation in international football events. Demonstrators demanded the cancellation of the match, calling it an insult to humanity amid ongoing violence in Gaza. Many carried banners reading, "Boycott Israel," and "No games with war criminals," while others formed human chains to block entry to the stadium. Despite earlier warnings from the police to maintain peace, tensions flared as some demonstrators attempted to break through security barriers. Police responded with tear gas and batons to disperse the crowd. Several protesters were detained for disturbing public order, while others were treated for exposure to tear gas. Police justify use of force. According to the Oslo Police Department, the use of tear gas was a necessary response after parts of the protest turned violent. A police spokesperson stated that a small group within the larger demonstration threw objects and attempted to push into restricted zones. "Our officers acted proportionally to ensure safety and maintain order," the spokesperson added. Videos circulating on social media showed chaotic scenes of protesters running from tear gas clouds and police forming defensive lines around the stadium. Eyewitnesses described a tense atmosphere, with fans caught in the middle of the confrontation. Match continues amid chaos. Despite the turmoil outside, the Norway vs. Israel World Cup qualifier went ahead as planned. Inside the stadium, security was tightened, with a heavy police presence ensuring no disruptions occurred on the pitch. Some players reportedly expressed unease about the situation, while others used the moment to call for peace. Norwegian officials said cancelling the match was never an option, citing FIFA regulations and the importance of keeping politics separate from sports. However, critics argued that such a stance ignores moral responsibility during times of conflict. Political and social reactions. The incident has reignited discussions about the role of politics in sports. Human rights organizations in Norway condemned the police's use of tear gas, calling it an excessive reaction to peaceful protest. Meanwhile, pro-Israel groups applauded the authorities for preventing violence and allowing the game to continue without interference. Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre expressed concern about the situation, urging for respectful dialogue rather than confrontation. "Freedom of expression is a cornerstone of our democracy, but it must be exercised without violence," he said. On the other hand, several Norwegian lawmakers demanded that Israel be suspended from FIFA competitions until it complies with international humanitarian laws. The growing call for boycotts mirrors similar movements across Europe, where fans and activists have increasingly targeted sporting ties with Israel. International response. The clashes in Oslo have drawn international attention, with reactions pouring in from around the world. Palestinian groups praised Norwegian protesters for their solidarity and courage, while Israel's sports ministry condemned the demonstrations as politically motivated harassment. FIFA released a brief statement emphasizing that football must remain a platform for unity, not division. However, critics argue that FIFA's neutrality is becoming increasingly untenable amid mounting global outrage over the Gaza conflict. Broader implications. The Oslo protests highlight a growing trend where sports arenas have become battlegrounds for global political expression. As the war in Gaza continues, tensions surrounding Israel's international participation in cultural and athletic events are likely to intensify. Analysts warn that similar protests could erupt in other European cities hosting Israeli teams, potentially prompting stricter security measures and greater public scrutiny of FIFA's stance on political accountability. Conclusion. What was meant to be a night of football between Norway and Israel instead became a scene of confrontation, symbolizing how deeply politics and sports are intertwined. The tear gas in Oslo may have dispersed the crowd, but it also exposed the deep divisions running through European society over the Israel-Palestine conflict. For many, the match will be remembered not for the goals scored, but for the voices raised and silenced outside the stadium.